Okay, so I'm Cynthia Becker. I'm the host of the reality series CPS Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker. I'm a mother who did lose her children for 2 years, and after 2 years of fighting, I did get my kids back. The reason I do this show is to shine light and truth on the devastation, traumatic events, and corruption that is caused by Child Protective Services. It's not about protecting kids anymore. It's about the dollar amount that is stamped on each child and what they can offer the department. Um, I love to just hear stories and let parents tell their truth. So, Carrie, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell me about yourself.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm a CNA for a living. I had 3 small children that were taken from the father while I was in custody, serving out the rest of a 3-month sentence that I owed on or something like that. And so, two and a half weeks before I got out, I had the baby in jail, and they took. I presume the father had everything ready for the investigation from the hospital to have the baby come home because he had the other 2 children with him. And I was spoofed, I guess. I was lied to by him. He had nothing ready. He had relapsed, et cetera, et cetera. So they took the baby from the hospital, and that opened the case, and then they took the other 2 kids as well. But I have a total of 8 children, and I still remained custody of the other children that I had. So they only took the 3 smallest ones, the small ones. It was weird. So to get into the case a little bit, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for everything you're doing. And I agree totally with what your whole point is behind this, because people are not aware of the paid incentives that have been passed, and how children are looked at as a commodity. And
Yes.
not a lot of light has been shed on that, and I also want to say that, first and foremost, if you have an open CPS case, no matter what, do what they say to do, no matter what, and then work from there. Because if you go against the grain, it's just going to get worse. You could hash things out later on, but for now, just get the ball rolling.
We have a
And,
lot of parents that will disagree with that.
well, I mean, I say to a certain extent, like, if, for example, if you don't agree with what they want you to do, say under duress. You're not agreeing to do it. You just have to do it because they're telling you to, because they strong arm you. I mean, I literally can tell you from my case, point blank, I had no clue why they took my baby from me and then took the other 2 kids, but didn't take all my kids. I had I couldn't rationalize it. So, and they didn't tell me what the problem was to fix. If there's a problem, tell me what it is so it can be fixed, and I'm low income at the time. So I felt like a lot of people that I knew at the time that I did get in contact with via internet and things like that had stated the obvious. Low income families are targeted, point blank. And in San Diego County, where I'm from and where my case is from, it's kind of odd because CPS, or Child Protective Services, or whatever you want to call it, is ran by Health and Human Services Agency, which is the same place and organization that has food stamps, cash aid, general relief, EBT things, things like that to help the low income public. It's funny how Child Welfare Services is ran by that same organization. It's kind of weird.
It's really funny because who has experience in this, just had that, what you just said, blow in my head the other day when another mother said it, when she said, I was going to one, and they happened to be right next door to each other. Because you're correct, they are ran by the same thing, and it is just a way to get your information into their system.
Exactly.
You're correct.
And when I was going through the services that they offered me, because I got out 2 weeks later and said, hey, look, you didn't take the kids from me. You took them from him. Can I get my kids back now? They were still in like a center called Polinsky Center. It's like a transitional place before they go into foster care. And I said, I have stable housing. I live with my mom. She owns her own nice house, everything. My other kids live with me. They're stable. Everything's good, blah, blah, blah. No. They said no. I was like, what? Like, okay, because I left my kids with my husband at the time, who that's my husband, who we had our own home, we had everything established and stuff. In 3 months, he lost it. Because I left them with him, they said that was the violation of the WIC 300, the putting them in an unsafe situation. Well, that's my husband, who's the father of the children. I would not have presumed for that to have happened, you know, and so that was how they said I had messed up. So, okay, what do I have to do to fix this? Let's get this ball rolling. I'll do whatever to get my kids back, you know?
Yeah.
So, the thing that bothered me was the fact that the baby was placed in one foster home, which is through a special organization through the hospital, and the other two were in Polinsky still. And I'm like, well, okay, I got to go over here to see my baby. Then I got to go over here to see my kids at the center. Like, what's going on here, you know? And then I was like, okay, that's a lot of traveling. But then I wrote some notes just to get down to it. Like, the bottom line was this. I did everything they asked me to do. Plus, I couldn't fathom the idea. I drug tested. I even went to a drug program, and I didn't even have it. I had graduated one already. Okay, whatever. I'll do whatever. So it boiled down to my criminal record they used against me, which they're not supposed to. Because I had a previous criminal record which said I was gang supervision, whatever. That stays forever in your jacket, you know? Even though I'm non-active, it's always there. You know, okay, so if that's why you won't give me back my kids, why haven't you taken the rest of my kids? You know, I had like an 11-year-old, I had like a 14-year-old, I had, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so the bottom line was that I didn't know, like, bottom line, that what I had to do to get everything going, or who I needed to talk to as far as like my rights. I knew something wasn't right. You know, as a mother, we feel that, you know.
Yep.
I would go take to Polinsky, because my kids were in Polinsky for a minute, and that's unusual. But then they placed my kids in Mira Mesa, and I live in Chula Vista. That's like 30 miles difference. I was like, what? I have to travel by bus 3 hours to go visit my two children twice a week. That takes 3 hours on the bus one way, 6 hours total round trip for a 2-hour visit twice a week. Okay. And the other baby, I still had to go 2 hours by bus to go visit that baby with the other foster mom twice a week as well. So that's 4 hours in travel time. Where am I supposed to get a job, be a stable parent, provide a home and my own independent financial income for my children, yada, yada, with all that traveling? That's just not possible. It's not, you know, plus take care of the other kids that I do still have, you know, and go to a drug program and everything else. It was really literally overwhelming. And I fought tooth and nail. I cut my husband out of my life. I said, you got to do it for you, and I got to do it for me, for these kids, you know. So I did. And my other kids were going through it. They had a bond, so one of the two children that were taken after the newborn, they're 10 months apart. And literally I had never been separated from them other than the 3 months, the 90 days that I spent in the county jail. And my 14-year-old daughter at the time was like a second mommy to them. So literally it traumatized her. And my other kids too, I mean, they went through so much, and I had to put them in therapy, and I fought to get them to have sibling visitations, you know, things like that. And I dug and I dug and I dug, and I said, okay, look, boom. First of all, how am I going to do this? I told my best friend, who's my daughter's godmother, she used to be a paralegal, and she told me, she said, if you want to understand what they're doing, study to be one of them. See what their guidelines are as far as family reunification or removing children, what their policy and procedures are, what your rights are, who do you contact when you want to complain. Know your stuff, Carrie. And I said, oh my God. So I dug and I dug, because I had nothing else to do but to focus on this, because I was so hurt. And rather than breaking down and letting it bury me or demolish me, I fought inside and I studied. I'm a bookworm, you know. And I looked and I uncovered a lot of stuff. The first things I wrote notes, the first thing I uncovered was, you know, Nancy Schaefer. I don't know if you know about her. Have you ever heard about her? No. She's a United States senator. Okay. So there's something about this lady. She fought for, you got to look it up. You're going to be wowed by it. Your mind's going to explode. And it's all over the internet. She had a lot of good things. She was an activist, but she was a United States senator. So she had prevailed into the public. She wanted to pass a bill, right? This was in 2000. Okay, so she was in Georgia. She was a Georgia state senator. And she said in 2008 at the Eagle Forum Conference, the state legislature in Washington, D.C., 9/26/2008, she introduced to the Georgia General Assembly Senate Bill 415, which relates to juvenile proceedings, okay? She wanted the Department of Human Resources to provide emergency care to children without a court order reduced from 7 days to 72 hours. You know how they can take your kids for like a week and then they have to prove whatever?
Right.
So that's one thing she did. She wanted a court order to enter a residence of a parent or guardian to seize a child, or to open family court to the public, because confidentiality and secrecy protects the wrong people. It also would have put a halt on any sort of applying for, obtaining, receiving, or accepting adoption incentive payments for social workers. She wanted to pass that bill. She had a quote that not always, but oftentimes, poor parents are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney. Then things went terribly south after that for her, because she started a documentary about the buying and selling of children by being legally kidnapped. She stated it all. It's all out there. She states it all in her assembly bill in a conference. You can see it on YouTube. It's heartbreaking. She says all over the country, people, parents, grandparents, and other people are coming to them because the attorneys are hired and housed by CPS. You know, the attorneys they appoint to you, that they give to you, they work with CPS. So I looked into that and I said, okay, my attorney is not doing nothing for me. Like, she's not even fighting for me. Like, what's going on here? You know, I found out there's an ombudsman that you can contact. So I contacted the ombudsman several times. I did everything they asked, even like I think it was a 18-week parenting program that they had me do, where there's social workers there, child therapists, the parents, and the children for the first 2 hours. And they observe you parenting your children. Then after those 2 hours, you sit in for the parenting class. I did that so exceedingly well. They offered me a job to be a parent partner after my case was closed, but I respectfully declined because it's too heartbreaking for me. And so they have a thing called a CASA report that they do before they terminate your services or your parental rights. And they said, no, that there's such a bond between me and my children. I had a bonding assessment done. Everything you can imagine, I did it. Where it fell short at was the lady who fostered my kids and adopted them. She was Muslim. She wanted me to start wearing a hijab when I went all the way out to Mira Mesa to visit my kids. I said, well, my kids have never seen me like that. I can't do that to them, you know? I tried it one time and my daughter, the baby, she's like 4, she's like looking at me crazy, like, what the heck? So I couldn't do it. So she stopped letting me have my visits. So I contacted CWS and I told them that. And then I told them, I said, look, you know, that's not right. And plus, how are you going to know how I am with my children if you have this lady observing my visit and she's not even taking notes? So I had the kids then brought down to the office, which is close to me, because I started pitching a complaint. I said, look, first of all, your policy and procedures are wrong. My kids are supposed to be geographically close to me when you detain them from me. So it's easier for me to maintain my visitation and communication with them. You got them 30 miles away. Second of all my 3 children should be in the same household, not one here, 2 there. They're supposed to, by policy, procedures, and guidelines, be all together. I had a team decision meeting and I had the ombudsman sit in on that. And I said, if this doesn't happen, I'm going for your heads and I'm going public to the media to complain how you're taking advantage of me. You think I'm shy? I'm not stupid. I may not be the brightest person in the bunch, but I'm going to fight for what's mine. So they did all that and they started the visitations down in the CPS office and I was there all the time. So it came down to all the visits were good. Every time my kids would go, oh my God, I noticed my daughter would start to wither away more and more and more. Like, and I have not talked about this, and this was in 2014 when I lost my children, when they finalized the case, right? And I haven't really talked about this to anybody, but I have videos of us putting her in the car, the social worker's van, even videos of her at the park with the foster mom, you know. I don't want to go home. I want to go with you. Like, she's only 4 and I'm trying to make things as happy for her as I can. You know, I bring her things from home and everything. And I took every second I took advantage of that. You know, I got so upset with the lawyer. I said, you know what, look, not only are these guys not following policy and procedures on my case, I said, you know what, this ain't right. Services that they're not giving me, I went out and got for myself. You know what I mean? They started lacking on services for me. I went out and hustled them up for myself. I looked on 211, whatever you could find, I did it, you know? Yeah. And then so I said, okay, if they're not going to give me services, I'll get them myself. The lawyer she wasn't putting that in. You know how you're supposed to file, you're supposed to submit all documentation before the judge. The judges only see what's on paper. They don't care what you got to say. They only see what's in black and white. She wasn't providing all the stuff that I had and all that. She wasn't providing it before the court hearing. So I'm like, hey, where's the proof of this? Where's the proof of that? So I said, this lawyer's not doing right. So I asked the judge, can I have another lawyer? He said, nope. I said, what? I said, I want a Marsden hearing. He said, okay, we'll give you a Marsden hearing. What's the basis of the foundation for you not wanting to keep this lawyer? I said, because she's not representing me. She's not submitting documentation that needs to be submitted. I said, I know for a fact that your due process right through the United States Constitution says 10 days prior to going to court, whatever they submit as far as evidentiary reports, I have to have in my hands 10 days prior to court so I can rebut and file whatever I need to counterfile. He goes, oh, you do know that? I said, yeah, I study. I said, I haven't received nothing until the day of court. On that day, you're not trying to hear what I got to say because nothing has been filed to counter it. He goes, still doesn't give me grounds to get you another lawyer. I said, well, how about this, buddy? I got my termination, my parental rights coming up. I said, with all due respect, Your Honor, I want to represent myself. If I can't fight hard enough, she can't either. I'm going to fight as best as I can. And if anybody's going to lose my kids, it's going to be me, not her. I'm not leaving it up to her because that's all. Heck no. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fight with everything I. He goes, are you sure? I said, oh, I'm positive. I'm going to represent myself. I want to continue for the next 4 weeks to prepare for my trial. And I want every transcript there ever was for my case delivered to my hands immediately. And he said, okay. I did that. I paid another lawyer who used to work as a CPS lawyer for the kids, you know?
Yeah.
And she was retired. I paid her $50 an hour. I recycled cans. I hustled at concerts, whatever you could think of I could do. I did it. And plus I had a job working as a bus driver. I got my stuff together, you know, I was doing good. I did everything I could. I paid her $50 an hour for consultation on my case on what to prepare for this trial. Now, when I went to trial for this, the judge cried at the end. He said, you know what? He teared up. He goes, he's I don't even know if I can rule in this case. He goes, I think I need to step down from this case. He's like, I built an emotional attachment with you because, for one, your beginning statements and your closing statements are just, there's no doubt in my mind that you love your children with all your heart and that you would be a good parent. However, he goes, the evidence here today is for the permanent placement of the children. And the bottom line is they're adoptable. I said, what?
Yeah.
I said, okay, so because they're adoptable, even though my mother is here, who's got guardianship of 2 of my kids and had it reversed and I got my kids back, she was approved before, why can't she have them now? That's in the family that's keeping us still together. And he goes, they've been where they've been this far. You even fought to get the third one placed with the other 2. He's like, we're going to place them where they've been stable at. He's like, I do encourage you to file your appeal. He said, and do it quick. He said, because if I was to grant in your favor today, he said, all they would do is file their appeal. He goes, and therefore it would just make this more long and drawn out when the kids need stability and permanency. I said, okay, so put them with me. Put them in long-term foster care with this lady or something, but please come on. Prior to that, or on that day, I didn't know this, but later on after he said, you know, I'm sorry, but fight. He goes, just continue to fight. I kept fighting. I didn't let it break me. I said, I'm not gonna let this break me. I'm not gonna let it do it. There's a post-adoption agreement I could have put in there with that case for her to agree for post-adoption contact between myself and the children, which she told me she would give me, but she never did. I never even got to say goodbye to my kids, which the judge ordered me to have that last visit, and I never got it. So that's why I don't feel any, how would you call it? I don't feel any closure to this. I never will, you know? And also their sibling rights too. Children have the right to stay in contact with, and I didn't know that. Yeah. So I have my daughter.
Right.
Yeah, so I have my daughter in 12. Mind you, after this, I contacted the director of CWS. I said, you took my kids. I'm not letting you go out without a fight for me, buddy, because he's like the head honcho. They don't even put a signature. They just stamp it on the paperwork. You know what I mean? A phony looking signature. I said, look, I wrote him a note. I said, check this out. If you don't contact me regarding all this evidence that I have, factual proof that you violated my constitutional rights, you didn't uphold policy and procedures on my case, and you shortchanged me in every which way possible, culturally biased to the fullest, and economically biased to the fullest. I said, I will submit this to the media. I will go public and I will picket your office with about 180 people more. I said, because I'm not the only person this was done to. Boom, the next 2 days, I got a phone call from the deputy director. Not him, but his second under, you know. She says, I want you to come down to the office and have a meeting with me and let's discuss what your complaint is.
Yeah.
And that's when it dawned on me, I'm going to the welfare office, the Health and Human Services Agency for this meeting. Not the CPS building, but that building. I'm like, wait a minute here. Why am I coming here? This is where I get EBT and stuff. What's going on here? So, oh yeah, what Health and Human Services Agency is in charge of. Oh, okay. So I mental note to that, you know. So I told her, I said, look, I know my case is done. I know whatever. But I know for a fact this, I laid it all out for her. And I said, I want you to review my case, my entire case, not the transcripts from the court, not this, that, but that and the whole case. Social workers' notes. Because I went through about 5 social workers and they didn't even tell me twice that they changed social workers, you know? And then I said, visitation monitors notes, everything, every phone call I made, everything, because I kept a book of everything I did, you know? I said, I want you to review every last note. I said, and tell me when you're done, am I right or am I wrong that you did not follow policy and procedures? I would say about 3 weeks later, I contacted her and she said, oh, your letter's in the mail. I said, okay. So I opened up the letter and it said, from the deputy director, you know, from the county of San Diego, your case has required us to have a quality assurance assessment done on it. Based on this quality assurance assessment on your case, your accusations of us not following policy and procedures is partially founded. I said, whoa, partially founded? Okay, so I'm right then. And she goes, well, yeah. And I go, well, what are you going to do about it then? You didn't follow policy and procedures on my case. So what are you going to do to make right? Just, that's it. She goes, well, we can't do anything because I said, well, what do you mean you can't do anything? So you're just going to take my kids, shortchange me on everything I should have had or should have been open to, and you're just say, to hell with it, screw me? No. Don't work like that. What are you going to do to fix it? She goes, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen to the next family. I said, oh, wow. Okay, thanks. Can I get that report, that quality assurance report? Can I get that printout? No, that's, you're going to have to contact records. I contacted records. They didn't have no copy of it. I said, what am I going to do? I contacted lawyer after lawyer to see what I could do about it. And they all told me this. Based on the fact that it didn't traumatize me and detriment me so extreme to where I can't functionally live, they can't do anything to sue them. But I want it exposed. I want people to know that don't let them shortchange you. Don't let them do it, because all they're doing is making money off our kids. Bottom line. My kids ended up in Istanbul, okay? Istanbul, Turkey, the last I heard. This was years ago. The man who was renting the house to the lady who adopted my kids was a pediatrician that my husband knew. And he said, you know what? I was renting her the house and I would go over there and collect the rent. You know, it was just bad. Your kids were very sad. They were not in good conditions. And I said, oh my God. To hear that, he goes, and then he goes, she just up and disappeared. I go, what do you mean she just up and disappeared? You were renting her the house. He goes, yeah, she was getting Section 8. All this stuff is in the house, but she hasn't been back in months. I go, what do you mean? He goes, and her son told me she took off to Istanbul, Turkey. I go, why? He said, because she's afraid that you're going to come back and get the kids. I go, what? I don't even know where she lives. You know, you won't tell me, but I don't know where. He goes, he told me that she had a history of adopting children and moving to the Middle East and coming back without them. If I was to tell anybody, they would probably not believe me. You know what I mean?
No. So your children are in Turkey right now?
From what I was last told by the man who was renting her the house, that's what he told me. And he's a pediatrician. And he told me, he goes, I'm not going to lie to you. He goes, I didn't know that those were your kids, because my husband's family is well known in the Middle Eastern community, you know, and because my kids are Middle Eastern. And I think that's why they placed them with her. But my kid, I'm not Middle Eastern. I'm Polynesian. I mean, I'm Portuguese, Hawaiian, and white. I grew up in a Spanish household, you know. I mean, my kids were so smart. My daughter, she spoke Spanish, Arabic, and English perfectly. They told me that her speech was behind, or it was not efficient or effective because of the fact that she spoke so many languages. But the foster home they put her in, the lady only spoke Farsi, which is different than Arabic. What do you think that's going to do to a 4-year-old? That's going to confuse the crap out of her. So she regressed. I noticed that in a lot of the pictures that I had with her and videos and stuff of her in the beginning, she was so happy to see me. Towards the end, she wouldn't look in the camera like it was bad, like it was haram, it was bad. It was like, no. And she told me, she goes, no, don't video me. I go, why? Sing a song, Tutu, because we called her Tutu for short. No. And she kept looking for the lady like she was going to get in trouble. And I have it on video, and I'm looking at my son like, are you seeing this? And my son's like, yeah, Mom, that's odd. And she's looking for the lady like, no camera. Like, and I was like, what the heck is going on with my kids, you know? And I noticed there's bruises all over her, and I try to tell the worker, I was like, hey, what's going on here, man? Like, her son lives with her and has a drug conviction record. You guys go over there. There's bruises on my kids. You don't do nothing about it, but you're gonna take them from me because I was in jail. What the heck? Like, come on, you know. And I couldn't believe it. And my baby's like, I wake up maybe every now and then, like every other week or so, you know, with a dream so real. Like I could smell her hair, like I could feel her curls, and I just snuzzle my nose into her neck, and it's so real. And I don't even know what my kids look like. And the last time I saw them was in 2014, you know, and I picture them always as the babies, you know, but I just wanted to see her toes in the sand at the beach. I wanted to see the water wash on her toes. And I just wanted to smell her curls one last time, you know, and I know she'll probably look for me when she gets older, because there's no way she's going to forget me. Me and Polani were very close, so close. And I never left her side except it was 90 days. Never had nobody babysit her or nothing.
When was the last time you saw them?
2014.
Wow.
And I know Polani is a Hawaiian name. It means Frank. So I know if she grows up in a Middle Eastern family, she's going to be kind of confused because it's nowhere near Middle Eastern. You know, she's like, what the heck? You know, and so their names are pretty unique. And I don't think the lady would change them because they knew their names, you know. And so my baby will look for me. And I know that, like, since then, I've dealt with a lot of people passing away in my life unexpectedly. And, you know, I named her after my dad and my brother because they both had passed away. And those are my two heroes. And so to me, I just know that my dad and my brother are guarding over her. They'll bring her home. She'll come back. I know she will. And she's got the most curliest, beautiful hair. And my daughter, my daughter's 24 now, my second oldest. She has a baby. And her baby is 4. No, he just turned 5, my grandson. CPS tried to get involved in her life. And she does nothing wrong. She has like a modeling shoots that she does for like album covers or things like that. But on that Instagram she has, nowhere near on the Instagram is her child involved in that. She doesn't have no pictures of the baby on there, nothing like that, right? So because she had a picture of her holding a fake gun in a model shoot, things like that, CPS got involved. And she said, come to my house. You're not going to find nothing. Come see my child. Whatever I do for my career, because she's into modeling and pictures and stuff, like, she goes, that's separate from being a mom. My son goes to school. I work. How I make my income is how I make my income. It's legal. It's a tax write. I do I fill out my tax forms. She goes, you don't see my child on any of those Instagram accounts. Nothing. Not even on Facebook. She goes, I don't put my child on social media at all whatsoever. They said, well, where's your mom? When my daughter told me, I said, what do you mean? Where was I? What do they want to know where I'm at for? She goes, they wanted to know if you're around the baby, if my son at all. And I said, well, what did you tell them? She goes, I told them it's none of their business, but they want to take the baby now because they think you're around them. I said, what the heck? Because my parental right, because I caused them so much grief at CPS, they got on her butt about me being around the baby. And during their whole 30-day investigation, not once did they contact me. If you're so concerned about me being around them, why wouldn't you call me to ask me what kind of parent my daughter is? You have nothing to say to me, but you have a lot to say about me? That's biased.
Absolutely.
And I told my daughter, have them close the case. They drug tested my daughter. My daughter's never even been arrested, ever. She doesn't even have a parking ticket, maybe a speeding ticket, but you know what I mean? But like, she's never even done drugs, nothing. And they drug tested her. they had the cops search my house on a search warrant. The search warrant had not even my address. It had a bunch of X's all over it. Didn't even say what they were searching for. Didn't even say her name. I said, excuse me, why are you searching my house? Oh, because CWS has a concern about there being drugs and guns in your home. I said, where's your warrant? Boom. This is not a search warrant. This has a bunch of letter X's all over it. Oh, because we filed it digitally. What? Because you filed it electronically, it has to be legible for me to see it. Boom, they kicked in the door. The baby wasn't here, though. The baby wasn't home. Neither was she. They were out. But they didn't find nothing. Not a single. They found one gun in the safe in a locked room that's registered to my mom. That's it. It was in a safe locked, in a locked bedroom. What the heck? Fully legit. You know what I mean? And so they even searched my car on the street. They didn't find nothing in that. They stole the title to my car. All because CWS wanted to get her for child endangerment. There was nothing to say child endangerment for. So they had to investigate for the whole 30 days, right? Prior to the investigation, the social worker said, well, I want you to do this voluntary plan. She goes, no. She goes, I'm not volunteering to do nothing. If there's no cause for concern for you to be in my child's life, she goes, I'm traumatized for what you did to my siblings. Do you think I want to let you into my life after what you did to my siblings? No. Sorry. How about this? If I signed anything, it's going to be under duress because mama didn't raise no fool. And I've seen everything my mom went through. I see my mom wake up panicking in the middle of the night because she can't find her kids. She goes, do you think I want to go through that? Nope. She's like, you better come with that blue piece of paper with that detention order. And you better come with it. She's like, because if you do take my child, you better have all your ducks in a row because I'm going to hit you with my mama and everything we got. I was like, dang. Like, all of that because they knew she was my daughter. They knew. It was the same address that I lived at, same everything. And I was such a concern they kept asking her and drilling her questions. My son, they kept drilling my other son questions, my 26-year-old. Why don't you ask me what I'm doing? Why don't you ask me what I'm doing in life now? I take care of elderly dependent people. Like, come on. You think if I can't get fingerprinted and background cleared on that, what's the problem with me being around my grandson?
Right.
I don't get it. You know, and so finally they cleared the case because my daughter goes, no, you said you were going to close my case. Are you done? Let's do this. You know, I want to pursue it with them and be like, okay, look, what's the problem with me being in my grandson's life? Because God forbid anything happens to my daughter, I want to step up to get my grandson.
Yeah.
How's that going to be if they got such a grudge against me? You know, like it's just it's one thing after another with them. They don't just attack you; they attack your whole family, and they don't forget nothing. They try to see an opportunity to take my grandson, and we weren't having it. You know, I mean, it's a proven fact. Clinton did pass that paid incentives bill. He's the one who passed that law. I see on KFMBA Channel 8 News how they broadcast all these kids up for adoption. What the heck is that?
Right.
That's like you're putting them on sale. Like, the media is involved in it. That's crazy. Aren't these kids supposed to be confidential?
Yeah.
Why are you putting their pictures on the news and showing all these kids you have for adoption? That's selling them. I swear, that's just, I mean, that's like going to the store. Look at what's on sale. These kids are supposed to be anonymous right now. They're not even adopted out. So, I mean, I can't, their case is still open if they're not even adopted. It's not finalized. So I don't understand it. It's there. All the mathematics add up to show one. Okay, yeah, I get what Clinton's thoughts may have been back then, and his intentions, but they totally backfired. And if there's people out there that doubt the fact that kids are a commodity, low-income families are targets, kids are a commodity to buy and sell. If you don't believe that, if they're 6 and under, that's a paid incentive. If they're over 6, they ain't really interested. Because why didn't they take the rest of my kids from me? I had an 11-year-old, I had a 14-year-old. They're not adoptable. Nobody wants older kids. They want little kids, you know?
That doesn't even make sense.
It's gut-wrenching. And you know what? They think that because we're low income, that we're going to fall for that, or because we're in poverty, like Nancy Schaefer said, we're not going to have the wherewithal to go and defend ourselves. Hey, they better take a look, because you know what? All it takes is like that state bill she wanted to pass, that Senate bill 415. We need to get together, activists, get to be activists and propose a bill like that, saying, hey, no, 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 no. Because the reunification process is mapped out. They're supposed to preserve families. That's what they're saying is, we're here to preserve and protect families. Nuh-uh. They rip them away from you and then freaking barter them out. Excuse my language. They barter them out. And they don't care to who, as long as they get them out of there. They don't care who it is, what kind of background they have, whatever. If they have an income to support them. I mean, if it was a loving family that had no opportunity to have children and they had a nice income, a nice home, and they needed that chance and it was for the best, because there's some kids that really do need to be taken from their families. I mean, but they have the chance to get them back. But if they can't, I mean, find somebody that's good. Not somebody that's you're just gonna shovel them off to because you want to get that paid incentive. If they're disabled or if they have like a mental condition or anything like that, they get paid more. They get more paid incentives.
Yep.
So if you have an ADHD child or an autistic child that they adopt out, that's even more money in the budget. And they don't get paid in their hands. It goes to the county budget. So, I mean, you can always pull up online. It's open to the public, the fiscal reports and stuff like that. And you'll see how much they get for those incentives.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. And Nancy Schaefer, if you look her up online and you see, there's a couple other websites that I go to, like Donnelly Justice and things like that. If you see the story on Nancy Schaefer and her husband, how they passed away was just gut wrenching. And it's real suspect, but they were making a movie at the time, a documentary on that. And if you just listen to her speech that she gave at that assembly, the way she talks about parents and grandparents contacting her about not being able to get the visits they are supposed to get or reunify with their kids or things like that. If you listen to it, you'll be shocked and devastated. Like I thought it was just like, whatever. But when I listened to it, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, oh my God. Like, I wish the movie would have came out. I wish the documentary would have been finished. And it just, we have to get together as parents, whether we lost our children or not, whether we reunified with them or not. We have to get together as parents and protectors of our civil rights, protectors of our humane rights, and because those are children. They're not a bag of beans. They're not a pound of bacon. Those are kids.
Yeah.
That's inhumane right there. That's disgusting. That's human trafficking. And we need to get together and we need to let it be known, because a lot of people are not aware of that because it's not in their own backyard. You know what I mean? And it hurts because my people that are close to me, they know what I went through, and they see the pain in my face, and they see, I'm so good with kids. I love kids. It took me a while to warm up to kids after that had happened because I didn't want to get close to anybody, And even my own children, I kind of distanced myself from that. And my own children were like, hey, what about us? You still have us. So that's what made me come back. They were like, just because you lost them doesn't mean we have to lose you too. So that's what made me bring it in. And that's what made me sit there and tell my kids, you know what, you're right. I failed, but they said, no, you didn't fail, Mom. We seen you do all you could. You're still here. I mean, I could have went back to a life of crime. I could have went back up to getting strung out, doping, whatever. But no, I took that opportunity to build from that. And every day I keep myself employed. I go to school. I went to college. And then some, because you know why? Because when my babies come home, because I know they will, I want them to see, hey, she ain't no criminal, convict, bum. You know what I mean? I want them to see me working and being there for me. And God, please, let me just live long enough to see them come back. I mean, right now, my daughter will be 11. My son, he'll be 10. And the other one, my other daughter, she'll be 9. So like for 8.5. So I have 2 that are 10 months apart. And then I have 1 that's like a year and a half later. So they're close knit, and they all have the same dad. So they all look a lot alike. And I want them to come home someday. And I want them to see, hey, my mom never gave up on us. And I made a video of all their pictures and slideshows and everything that we went through for them. And I still have their first shoe. I still have their first, their everything. I still have a lock of their hair, you know, and I have their handprints. I knew it was gonna happen, so I got their handprints when I went to visit with them. I took finger paints, you know, and then I knew and the worst outcome. I looked at it like that, and I just had to get what I could from them, you know. Got their footprint, their handprint, um, the lock of their hair, and I just, you know, I want people to work on this, and I want people to get together with this because people need to come together. We got to stop. I mean, I understand COVID-19 and everything, but you know what? Who's gonna fight for them? Us. They ain't got nobody but us. So we need to get our heads out of our butts and pull together on this.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you're lucky to have your kids back, and I should have by all means had mine back, but
yeah,
the judge told me in his ruling, he was like, based on the fact that you're a validated associate member of I cannot give you your children back into your care and custody because that would put them in an extreme detriment based on your record of being a validated associated member of And I was like, I'm not even active. You know what I mean? I was like, I haven't been active for years. And he's like, I don't have nobody professional here or credible to testify to that. So I even tried to look for an FBI Cal gang specialist to testify that, you know, if I've been active or non-active, you know what I mean? I couldn't find nobody, you know, and it was hard. I found one person, but by then it was too late. And it was crazy. That based off of that tag right there, I was not, he said, I would never rule in your favor, period, because you are a validated associated member. And I said, okay, that was like in 2005. It's like 2013, 14, you know, I was like, okay, you know, and I was like, okay. So he's like, I would have thought about maybe, you know, doing something different. He was like, but he's like, that just killed it right there. I can't challenge that. He goes, and that's a statement from a detective, a U.S. Marshal. And I said, oh God, you know. So CPS dug deep to get that one. And that's what killed my whole trial. So that's my story.
I appreciate you coming on to share. I'm impressed by your ability of searching and researching and having all of this information. It makes me so sad and depressed to hear that you didn't get your kids back in the end.
They'll come home. They'll come home someday.
I know, but it's not fair that you have to suffer and they have to suffer and everybody has to miss all the things that they do. First days of school, of each grade, things that we don't think about, we take for granted.
Yeah. I look at my grandson as my second chance, and I love my daughter Michelle so much for giving me that opportunity to have him as my second chance and let me be a part of his life, and by protecting me and him, you know, I swear I let him run around with bubble wrap. I give him everything that she lets me be there for his preschool graduation. I mean, I love her for that. My daughter's awesome, but you know what? I look at that as my second blessing. I may have lost, but I gained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know there's nothing that I won't do differently with this one, other than not let him out of my sight. You know,
Yeah.
you know, I maintain him in my sight, and I want to know everything that I lost out on my kids. My daughter has given me a blessing and an opportunity to have with her son, and I just want to thank her and give her a shout out for sharing him with me, because that's what keeps me going.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what keeps me living and breathing, you know.
I'm really glad that you also, because I understand where you mentally were when you lost the little ones and you felt like just done, but the fact that you came back for your other kids and refocused and were like, you're right, you know, I still have you guys. And I cannot imagine, it kills me every time I hear about a baby being ripped away from its mom.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy, but
You didn't carry that baby for 9 months for
yeah.
it to go to someone else.
And you know what's funny is the foster mom that had her for the first year that took her from the hospital, she was so awesome with me.